Okay, everybody, we are going to start our Photoshop lesson, and I'm going to just go over this really quickly. We're just going to jump right in. You'll start to learn what most of this stuff is as we go along, like what most of these things are. I'm just going to go over real quickly. Right here is my toolbar, and this has all my tools in it. You'll get more familiar with them as we go through. Like the text tool is pretty easy, a shape tool. And if you click on these, it selects them with a left click. The right click gives you some options for different things under that. So just make note of that when we start talking and using these tools. Okay, so I'm going to open my sandwich art that you should have in Schoology because we're going to create a sandwich here. In today's lesson, we're going to learn about layers, which is one of the most important things you can learn in Photoshop. So you should have a layers panel right here over on the right hand side or somewhere. If you don't, you can go to view and actually go to window, and then you're going to find layers, and then you're going to click on layers, and that should bring the layers up. Okay, so if you notice, when you open your hamburger ingredients here, it'll be layer 0 or background. And so that's going to just be all of these things are connected together. If I move them, they're all going to be the same. By the way, one good shortcut to learn, Control Alt Z undoes the last action. So remember that, or you can go to edit, step backward. That will also undo the last action. Okay, so we're going to cut these ingredients up to make a sandwich. And we're going to talk about how that works with layers. So what I'm going to do to get these ingredients separate from this one layer, this bottom layer, is I'm going to grab the selection tool, which is right underneath the top tool. Looks like some little lines here. And then I'm going to pick the ingredient I want to add. I'm going to grab this egg, even though it's kind of invisible, and you might have to kind of work around there. Okay, so now you could see this is selected. You'll see that by these little marching ants guys that are around there. So once I have that selected, I want to pull this from the bottom layer, which is layer 0. The way I do that is I'm going to hit the shortcut Control and J together. That's going to add a new layer, and that layer will just be the egg. And you see there, if I hit these little eyeballs, it'll make those layers disappear. So you're going to do that for all these ingredients that you want to put on your hamburger. I want at least maybe 8 or 9, 10 ingredients. I want a bunch. It's a big hamburger. I like to eat. So what I'm going to do, for sake of time, I'm just going to show you some I've already cut out from here. All right, so now I can stack these on top of each other. So I want to go with my lettuce probably first, and then we'll do my, let's do the bacon. Okay, now we're going to start to see this happen. Now the bacon is underneath the lettuce, and I want it on top. So if I look over here on my layers panel, you can see these are stacked on top of each other. Now, just like these are stacked on top of each other, they stack the same way in your image. So if I find the lettuce, which is this guy right here, layer 2, I'm going to bring him down right on top of the bun. And now my bacon is on the top layer, or top of that lettuce. Same thing for my egg over here, which I'm going to do. Well, actually, let's do the cheese next. That sounds better. Put the cheese on top. Now my egg layer is layer 6. So if I bring Mr. Egg over here, he's going to be underneath everything. So I've got to move him up. Let's move him up to the top. We don't want him on top of the top bun, and he's kind of an invisible egg. So there's that. And now I can go to my top layer. All right, now I have my sandwich. And you can move it however you want. It's hard to see that egg underneath there, but now if you're having trouble moving these around, you need to make sure this top tool is selected, the move tool, and the little where it's the little 4 arrows. And sometimes if you grab these edges here, or this guy in the middle, it tries to resize or do different things to it. So if that happens, just hit escape and that will undo that. So I've got my very delicious looking sandwich here. I want to crop this image though to be the same size as this sandwich. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the crop tool. I'm going to go down here and crop a little square, double click, and boom, there's my sandwich. Now it's ready to turn in. So simple, easy, but we've learned about layers and how those work and a few of these tools over here. So what I want you to do is go and save this. You're going to go to Save As. You're going to drop down here. Instead of a PSD file, actually, you want to save this as a PSD file. PSD files are the default Photoshop file, and it'll allow me to see these layers here. Sometimes we will save it as a JPEG or PNG, but you need to make sure it's Photoshop PSD file. And so you're going to save that, and then you're going to turn it into Schoology. If you have questions, you can come and ask me, and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, happy cooking and baking and making the sandwich.